Here's a good question from Carl King. I'm considering moving to Panama. How safe are the banks in Panama? Should I move some of my funds to a bank in Panama, or should I leave most of the funds in the U.S.? What are the current interest rates for CDs, money market savings accounts in Panama? What are the chances of finding a meaningful job in Panama for a couple of years? I can't locate any websites like Monster.com that include positions in Panama. Is there a recruiting service in Panama that specializes in the job placement of Americans in Panama? Good question. A series of questions, I guess. Starting with how safe are the banks in Panama? Well, during the financial crisis of 2008, 2009, the Panamanian banks held up very well, and from all of the reports that I received, did not show, any signs of potential collapse, and did not require any U.S. federal funds to survive. So I think the reason for this is that the banks in Panama um, are, designed to do what banks are supposed to do, which is to hold and store money. The Panamanian banks, most of their clients put their money in Panama for asset protection purposes, not to take advantage of hedge funds. Most of the American banks are involved in incredibly complicated derivative transactions and hedge funds and currency forex exchange, and they're trying to make as much money as they can with your money, whereas the Panamanian banks seem to be quite happy just to hang on to your money for you and collect, make their money the old-fashioned way by, lending out to uh, the local economy for, obviously, real estate construction, infrastructure projects, and business loans. So, the high finance that broke Lehman Brothers doesn't really exist in Panama to a very great degree, and that's why I think the Panamanian banking system is as safe, probably even safer than the American banks. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should move all of your funds to Panama. It really depends on what you plan to do. One thing where I think Panama is still kind of lacking is they really don't have access to really good uh, international brokerages. So there aren't very many opportunities to open brokerage accounts in Panama and trade on the international exchanges. There are a few of them out there, but I think their fees are kind of high, and I'm not convinced that is the best option if your agenda, is to continue to invest in a variety of stocks and bonds and other securities. Um, what are the current interest rates for CDs? Those rates are quite a bit higher in Panama. If you're just targeting a savings account and you want a higher interest rate, you could probably find a slightly higher interest rate on a savings account in Panama. They might pay you, for a CD, you might get as high as 6%. In a savings account, you're still down around 1 to 1.5%. The smaller banks tend to pay higher rates than the bigger banks, so whether there's a risk and return trade-off there, hard to say. Ban Vivienda is a bank that stands out that I've heard offers some of the highest interest rates on CDs in Panama. Um, that said, and I'm not a financial advisor, please don't take this as financial advice, but um, there are other currencies that pay even higher interest rates. Most of the Panamanian CDs are based in US dollars. If you want to hold an interest-bearing account in Australian dollars or in, some other currency from Turkey or Norway or Sweden, there's a lot of currencies to choose from right now. The US dollar has some of the lowest interest rates in the world, and really not the ideal currency to be holding, holding all of your money in if your goal is to earn interest income. And Panama banks are not really the best suited to diversify into other currencies, at least not yet. Uh, I spoke in a previous lesson about finding a meaningful job in Panama, and you're right, there aren't very many good employment websites in Panama. Panama is a different story in terms of the way that the job market works. I mean, you'll see ads in the newspaper for some jobs. If you go to www.prensa.com, prensa.com, that's the biggest newspaper in Panama, and they have job postings. Most of them, you have to speak Spanish. It doesn't say in Carl's question here if he does speak Spanish, but most of the local jobs, require you to speak Spanish. It's a Spanish-speaking country. If you don't speak Spanish, your best bet is to look at business opportunities, creating your own business that you can dialogue with other English-speaking people and help them, through whatever service it is that you offer or skill that you provide. So, um, you know, there are companies like Manpower in Panama. I think they're an international employment agency. Depending on what type of skills you have, that might be worth a look. As I mentioned in a previous video, wages are not very high in Panama for the typical worker. The way to make money in Panama or in just about any of these other foreign countries is really, you either need to start your own business, partner with someone, or create some sort of a consulting or outsourcing service where you can direct, or marketing where you can direct business to other businesses. This is something we go into more detail in the business in a briefcase training course. But essentially, look to apply your skills in a more direct format. Looking for a job in Panama, unless you speak Spanish and are willing to take a pay cut, it's probably going to be disappointing for you.